Hello and welcome to Limited Adhesion GT3 League Season 6 Round 8. We're at Road Atlanta. This is the final round of the series, and on the commentary team today is Less Random Chris, of course, and again Random Dave. How are you this evening, Dave?
I'm alright. I mean, I don't know, I'm not all that random today.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of an end of an era as such, because I believe we may be moving on to a different car come the new season, but we'll see how that unfolds. What do you make of Road Atlanta? Is it a decent choice of track for this type of car?
A lot of people seem to really like it, but I just don't get on with that blind right-hander. Like, I'm saying that now, I've got to grips with it a bit these days, but I still find it just a bit annoying, really. Yeah. You just can't see it coming.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at the standings. Of course, we know that Ollie Walker has won the championship for the top split, so congratulations to him. And Evan Conception and David Lyne take second and third, respectively. So not much to play for, but about pride in the top split. But we will go through the Club 1500 connotations and permutations, what will happen in
I'm not sure that Lyne has got it in the bag, actually. I think Maxwell can take third in this race.
Alright, so well, Lyne better be careful today, because Maxwell will be no slouch.
Well, he won the last race.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be looking for win number two. And the Club 1500 as it stands prior to the race finish, Damon Mitchell out in front on 266 with Mark Zef on 245, so he's still not clear of Mark. With Dan Hill on 212, he's cemented the third position, with White, Garrell, Meisters, Pepper, Joe Barlow, Lewis McManaman and Dugover running out the top 10. I believe James Pepper's making an appearance today, and we're going to see a couple of our South African contingent back. So welcome back to Jan Pruis, and of course the world's fastest back marker will soon to be revealed.
Sam Stott, still called Sat Stott.
That is going to be stuck with that now. And the Teams Championship 4X Racing have won already in the top split, so congratulations to Evan and Stephen on that. Alpha Esports and the A Team still only 2 points in it, so perhaps there could be an upset and Ollie Walker will have to make do with third on his one-man band.
Well, I think Miller may have to turn up. That's happening.
Yeah, possibly, but you don't count out David Lyne. He's well in the fight, no doubt. And in the Club 1500, we've got a DSR duo of orange and white duking it out for first. It's still not over, so anything can happen. We've got the Team Orange, which consists of Mark Zef. He's also in the title fight, so 354 points. And we've got the white team, which consists of Damon Mitchell leading the way on 340. But don't forget, we've got Steve Pepper and James Pepper, so there's going to be a fight within that household as well. We'll no doubt call social services once that's over. Not much to report on the other teams there. They've been mismatching across the season. So, what's going to happen in the Club 1500? Damon has to kind of finish second or higher in order to clinch the championship, because he has kind of more drop rounds that have got scored higher, where Mark only needs to finish fourth if Damon finishes third or lower. So there's a bit of fight still left in for this championship, especially given, let's not forget, there's the likes of Dan Hill and Chris White still loitering around. They might take up some positions. So we see Evan Conception takes pole today with the 118.2.
He's not there though, is he? He's not there yet.
Yeah, there's a massive gap there right next to David Lyne, so it looks like David Lyne's taking up pole position duties in the race, with James Pepper taking pole position in the Club 1500. So that's a great result for James, great result for the end of the season, so that he can push on hopefully next season in whichever car we choose to ride, with Mark Zef pipping Damon Mitchell. So right next to each other on the grid, this is going to be a good fight. You can really see with Chris White and Dan Hill next to each other as well, so those guys have been inseparable throughout the season. A low turnout for the top split, but we have got plenty of Club 1500 guys still driving around, as we can see the two South African in their livery at the back there.
I mean, there's a few fast clubbers here. I mean, maybe not so much in qualifying, but I think that I saw the practice times, and it's pretty mixed up.
Yeah, definitely. We can see Stephen Maxwell a little bit further down the order. He's going to have James Pepper on his inside. Of course, Evan Conception starting from the pit, so it seems as well. We've seen Line get away, but at the back there's a bit of chaos. So that looks like Steve Pepper, Rich Meesters, Joe Barlow, and it looks like Ollie Walker's took the lead from David Line. So
I think Line was a bit was caught napping there a little bit, maybe a bit weirded out by Evan not being on pole.
Yeah, I think
where he was.
Yeah, a bit confused of what was going on. Yeah, so
it's a big gap there. Look at that.
Yeah, that kind of incident with what appears to be Steve Pepper, Rich Meesters, and a couple of others seems to have spread some of the 1500 field out as Mark Zef gets down the inside of Stephen Maxwell and Damon Mitchell following suit. So of course Damon just wants to keep track of where Mark is. And I wonder if Stephen Maxwell will be keen to get in front of these guys, or will he just play it safe and not get involved in this title fight?
I think if he wants third in the championship, he better get on with it, really.
Yeah, well, he's got David Line right on the back of Ollie Walker, so he knows the score. And not forgetting Don Parker, he's just behind Line as well.
Knowing Dom, I imagine he's probably done millions of hours of endurance racing on this track. I just get a sense he likes this track. I think he's only been turning up to tracks he likes. Didn't turn up for a Red Bull Ring, did he? He just turns up for the ones that he likes and he's really good at.
Could be that. And there we see Evan, who has got a lot of work to do. He's probably had a bit of a technical issue, and I think that might have been Stephen Koenig, who we've seen, the world's fastest back marker, as Joe Barlow enters the pits. So obviously that first lap incident that we're going to see. So it looks like Steve Pepper just got on the power a little bit too early, bounced off the pit wall, and it looked like Rich Meesters didn't have time to react, collecting Lewis McManaman also. So on board, Rich Meesters, yeah, it's kind of a bit blindsided, didn't expect Steve's car to bounce that heavy across the track. And the two South Africans make the most of that and get straight ahead. Yeah, Joe Barlow, a bit of a passenger also. Hopefully didn't pick up too much damage. A little bit bent steering possibly. Yeah, a bit of confusion at the start with Evan gone AWOL. Okay.
James Pepper was pretty close to taking the lead there, really.
Yeah, he really wanted to get on with that. And Don Parker as well, right up the back of David Line. But I think James doing the good thing, I think, and the very wise move and just holding back. No point to kind of take any risks this early on cold tyres, and this was the move by Zef and Mitchell on Maxwell. Maxwell getting a kind of a wide run.
Looked to me like a combination of being confused by the fact he was on pole, and also have you ever been in that situation where you've sort of ended up on pole and then you've realised, oh, I haven't really thought this through, I haven't really figured out where I'm supposed to go.
Yeah, just kind of not sure what to do. This is a great graphic, and props to Dom for bringing this. He's brought this out of his magic box. We can see the live championship standings where Mark has now moved ahead of Damon Mitchell on points as it stands. So all to play for still, and we'll see how kind of the tactics lay out, whether Mitchell's just going to sit and kind of save a bit of time and tyres behind Zef and just put pressure on him as the race goes on. But he has got Maxwell behind him as well, so and whether James Pepper's going to try and back Zef up a little bit, if that would be a little bit of team tactics going on.
James Pepper looks really fast around here. I think his practice time was only a couple of tenths off Line.
Yeah, it looks really rapid, and that's great for next. That's a good marker for next season.
Though I heard before this race that the Lambo was like a second off the pace or something around here, but I don't really believe that.
Yeah, you'd think it, because it's quite nippy, it would be able to handle the kind of the first few corners quite well. But
Got a Lambo in first and second as well.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so great shot there if they're going down the back stretch. This is a bit of trivia. Did you know that there's actually a turn 8 on that stretch as well, which is almost non-existent?
Is that it there? Is that what we were looking at there? Is that the turn 8?
In fact, that's turn 9, believe it or not.
What?
So turn 8 is just as you come out of those double right-hander. It's kind of a slight left-hand kind of turn. You barely recognise it when you're in the car.
Do you know the corner names?
They only got turns, apart from the ones at the beginning are called the S's, believe it or not. And we do have a turn 10A and a turn 10B, which is the last chicane. And as we see Mark Zef trying to make a move on Pepper, but it's Mitchell. He's hit the barrier. Let's see what's happened to him. Perhaps there was some contact from behind. Oh, and he's had a spin also. So perhaps some steering damage. That he definitely doesn't want to be in that situation. That's probably the worst scenario you could have hoped for at this stage of the race. We'll see what happens, whether he's going to have to pit or not. But back to the front line, still within half a second of Walker, and Parker's just kind of maintaining that gap as well. So we'll see what happened there. Zef goes down the inside, they bunch up. Maxwell probably was a little bit blindsided to the front two kind of closing in, and kind of had no time to brake appropriately. Yeah, there's a bit a large amount of steering damage there for Mitchell. It might be a tow job. It's really frustrating for him. Yeah, this is on board Maxwell. Yeah,
that's a bit caught out by them slowing through there.
Yeah. Mitchell's car kind of blinded him to what was going on in front. That's really unfortunate. But so the title, as it stands, is in Mark Zef's hands. Anything can happen, however, and we can see Mitchell has indeed pitted. So line just losing a slight amount of time to Ollie Walker.
It's all about the exit. I don't know what the corner names are, but the corner before the straight, it's all about the exit there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
it's... How do you take that? Do you kind of carry it in speed from the corner before, or do you kind of slow down already and then try and power out from it?
I think you got to go in slower than you think is necessary to get to optimize your exit, really. Yeah. You can get away with running out a little bit wide on the curb in these cars, can't you? Like in the F3, going the curb easily.
Yeah. This first corner also can be a bit of a trickery if you miss your braking point, because especially in these cars you can run off the grass and there's no return from there, straight into the wall. We've seen a few cars do that in practice, and this corner they're approaching now, which is turn 5, is notorious. If you take too much of the curb, it can kind of throw you in either direction. We might see some of that later on, we'll see. But so far so good, we haven't seen anyone be a victim.
It's caught up a bit there.
Yeah, he has indeed,
Let's see if he can get a good exit here.
Yeah,
it's close enough for a bit of a tow.
Yeah, definitely.
Long straight.
Yeah, Parker's still in touch as well.
Have to be a bit of a send from here, though.
Yeah, he's catching up though. The draft's getting there.
He might give it a go. Is he gonna?
He's looking for it. He's put his nose in.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna get the anchors down just in time. Great control of the car and puts him into the lead. So that's a great move there by David Lyne. And in fact, Parker might be going for round 2 on Ollie Walker as well. So this might allow Lyne to pull away if he, in fact, Parker's thought better of it. But he did look quite menacing there. So will Lyne be able to pull away from this? He feels he's got the speed on Walker at this stage.
I think Dom's a bit of the dark horse here. I mean, I don't think he ever really really goes in for qualifying, does he? But then when it comes to race, it's clean enough.
Yeah, left the space. Yeah, the Ferrari is rumoured to be quite strong compared to the others here, and as well as having quite a large fuel tank, and we know Dom is very good at fuel saving, so that might come into play also, getting an extra lap in there, but we'll soon see. I could see Jan Prost set his fastest lap there, so actually he's moved up a considerable amount of positions, so sitting in 5th place at the moment. This is Dan Hill and Chris White. They've been stuck together for the past few races. It's a great ongoing battle we've seen over the course of the season. It's great to see both of them race very cleanly as well together, so it's great when you can have drivers that you trust and can battle fairly with and enjoy the racing. As Dan Hill goes slightly wide, Chris White goes in the inside, but Dan might have the speed going around the outside of this corner, I think. He does indeed, and Chris lets him through. I think he realises that you can fit 2 cars through there, but it can be quite risky for off tracks.
I seem to remember Line and Merrin coming together on the last lap of the endurance race we did here on that corner.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Trying to go 2 side by side. I think Line just caught on the curb a little bit on the inside and wiped the ball out. Ended up crossing the finishing line upside down.
That's a good memory. So that is Evan approaching those guys in the background. So he's caught, but quite good length of speed. I think Chris is going to let Evan through. Doesn't want to be obstructing Evan. Might look to take advantage. So this was Dan Hill just going slightly wide and takes advantage. Yeah. It was a good spot by White, but I think he already realised what was going to happen if they both went for it. Just lifted off a little bit. Yeah, Dan was just struggling. Maybe the tyres were still a little bit cold there.
I think it's just quite easy just to get that a little bit wrong and then go out wide there.
So, thinking about next season, Dave, you got any preference of car which you want to race in what we call our tin tops?
Well, tin tops or roofs. I think it's officially called, I don't know. My preference would be touring car, just to make a bit of a change. I know that it's kind of, we had a championship and it kind of fell through eventually, but that was sort of midweek. I kind of think it's got a bit of the same spirit in that, you know, you can all choose different cars and stuff. But completely different, you know, front wheel drive. Yeah,
and of course the first few races were very successful, and the cars can take a bit of a bashing as they're meant to, but they're designed for that. But definitely the racing can be close. There's Dom Parker.
Now.
Yeah, it goes through. So Ollie not up to speed, or whether he's got some secret up his sleeve in terms of what he's planning for the rest of the race, but that's allowed Dom Parker through. Dan Hill going slightly wide, but he should be letting Evan go through. Is Evan going to be more brave than White was? He is indeed. Yeah, takes the inside and goes straight through.
See if Parker can close in on line now. I have a feeling he's got a bit of extra race pace.
Dom's very capable in that Ferrari, of course. Knows how it handles, given the amount of laps he's done in endurance racing. Stephen Maxwell here, he's got a bit of work to do to catch up to the front three, but it might be a bit of a lonely race for him unless he can get Evan to kind of join up with him. These two ever battling. Further down the order, we've got Jan Prost. He's not too far behind. He's 4 seconds behind these guys, and we've got Stephen Koenig, Lewis McManaman is still around, and Joe Barlow, not forgetting him. He had to take an early pit stop, as well as Rich Meesters and Mitchell. So they are around the track, still going, and anything can happen. It's a better line from Dan Hill.
So what I always find difficult through there to be fast, it's just getting on the throttle early enough. You know, like you've almost got to be nearly fully on throttle before you hit the first apex, right? And then maybe like a tiny bit of a lift. Oh, it's a Chris off.
Yeah, that's White off. He's missed his braking point by the looks of it. It's bent steering. He's not going to be going anywhere. We did see Stephen Maxwell pit early as well, so yeah, I think this might be a tow. He's going to try and get away, but by the looks of it, that was a front wheel that was bent.
He bounced off the wall. Didn't look promising.
Yeah, definitely didn't. That might be his season over. He's not had the best luck this season in the GT3s, but apart from that win at Red Bull, yeah, one win. James Pepper looking very pacey at this track, and we'll see if he can grab a win. It would be great for him. He did look quite pacey at Red Bull also, so just need to get that consistency in line. Yeah, so what happened to Stephen Maxwell? That's why he's pitting early. Clips the tyre wall.
Like, yeah, not quite get away with that.
Yeah, that crabbing just a little bit. That's what happened to White. He's got tunnel vision watching Dan Hill. Seen he couldn't brake in time. Not much, and on that grass, there's not much you can do. Bounces on the tyre wall. Yeah, and bench steering for the prize of doing that.
Yeah, I'm terrible at that. Like I sort of I don't do that many races, right? So I do a little bit of a few laps by myself, and then I go into a race and then realise that all of my all of the reference points for braking points, I can't see them anymore because there's other cars in the way. yeah, and of course those can potentially change if you've been practicing at low temps, and I think what we've seen at especially in the Lotus, that those can potentially change if the track's very slippery as well or hot. So Dom sitting in the second position, catching up to slightly to line. So he is looking very strong at this track. Just noticed the gap is coming down between Pepper and Zef as well, as we see them in the background. Similar times being lined in Parker there, just 19.1s. Yeah, almost identical. Both of them taking that blind right-hander just spot on, really. Yeah. Sometimes you just need to be conservative, especially this track. It's very easy to pick up off tracks, especially in that and a slowdown at turn 2 and turn 3. It's kind of blind as Dan Hill's off track, and that allows Yanniman Pruis to go through. So Yanniman Pruis making up great amount of positions since the start. Who we've I've always really struggled with that blind right-hander. Is it turn 2 or turn 3 or something? Yeah, it's turn 3. Yeah, it's just such a struggle. But what I've found sort of makes it a lot easier for me is just letting off earlier. Basically, I'm just such in the habit of just letting off and braking exactly the same time, but almost like lifting and coasting a tiny bit into it. Just give myself a little bit longer to kind of just align myself a bit. I actually go to half throttle a little bit beforehand, just to give myself a little more time for it. And since I started doing that, I got faster at it, really. Even though I was braking earlier, or lifting off earlier. Yeah, that's a great tip there. And actually, just looking at David Lyne's line through turn 1, you could see he was making maximum use of the home stretch there to get a good angle on the curb. Well, he's just pulled away half a second on Parker. So that mistake. Yeah, that could be the difference. Yeah, so we're going to see a replay of what happened to Dan Hill and how he got off track. Yeah, it's almost the same as what White did the lap earlier, so that's proven to be a got away with it. Yeah, he did. Saying that, nearly collided. Yeah, it's an unsafe rejoin, or did he get away with it? Yeah,
I think you can take the off track and get away with it.
He was off the racing line. Yeah.
It's easy to get overconfident in that turn. It doesn't look like it's a sharp turn, but if you run out of track, then you're on a slippery slope to the barrier.
Well, it's very fast, isn't it? And it's just a tiny lift, and I can quite easily lose my back end through there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You can make up time depending on how brave you are in the pit entrance here as well. So that's going to be interesting to see how people cope with that. It's kind of brake as late as you dare. It's a straight line in from the kind of final chicane. Dan Hill is slightly closing in on Janneman, but Janneman's no slouch. We've seen, although he hasn't been here very often this season, he's definitely one of the faster drivers in this split. So Lyon's pulling slightly away from Parker, and Walker's brought that gap down just a little bit to Parker as well. Getting slightly out of draft range.
Well, I'd say Walker's dropping, nearly 2 seconds behind Parker now.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, Parker's going to have a bit of work to do. Let's see the lap times. Yeah, they're almost identical. Yeah. We did notice.
See what Evan's done though, because he was on pole, wasn't he? And he's probably. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was got your crystal ball out there, Dave. Yeah, very very speedy from Evan Conception. So fastest lap of the race there.
I mean, he was obviously going to be fast here, but obviously slightly different mindset being down and fourth.
Yeah, absolutely. So that gap between Pepper and Zef is now down to approximately half a second. But in terms of Mark's race, he's got nothing really to kind of gain by moving up a position, because it looks like Mitchell's out of contention, so he just needs to keep it in one piece.
So Marcus caught up half a second on line again, so I don't know what's happened there.
Yeah, it's we might see what happened to line. Might be now.
Well, I'm guessing, considering Walker's now 2.6 behind, that this is Parker just about to set a very fast lap rather than Line setting a slow one.
Yeah, that's me underestimating Parker. Indeed, you're right, on 18.9. Yeah. In fact, there they are. What do you think? Oh, and that's Evan just setting another fast lap, so he really is on it. What will Line do in this situation? Will he try and back Parker up, or will he let him go and get on with it?
He's probably just trying to not be distracted by it. He's probably looking out at the relative thinking, forget about that, just concentrate on your driving, and then failing at it and losing time because he's worrying about it so much.
As we've seen Janneman Prost take a pit stop, this probably is the start of the scheduled pit stops. So he's to come in early, possibly looking for an undercut on hill. We'll see how that plays out. Lap traffic might come into play here as well, as obviously some of the clubbers did pit early on lap 1. So let's see how they affect Line and Parker's preemptive battle, which I think is going to happen in the next couple of laps. It's going to be different for next season. Obviously, Ollie Walker been very strong in the GT3 car, but it's going to be interesting to see if he can challenge in whatever car we take up next season.
Well, at the moment, it's looking, my wish of it being touring car isn't going to happen. It's like to be GT4 or Porsche.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I would imagine that'd be much for muchness, really. It's not like, it's not going to shake it up like going for front wheel drives and that cost Line a fair bit there.
Yeah, Joe Barlow moved out of the way, but perhaps
did.
Line wasn't expecting it, just coming out of the apex. Yeah.
He moved out of the way, but Line wasn't able to go wide on the exit there.
Yeah, Line's going defensive here as well, so...
Well, I think Line was a similar distance away when he did the move on Walker, so...
Yeah. Yeah, it does look like Parker has a pace at the moment. It's just a matter of finding where on the track to do it. Of course, pretty much the first half of the track, the lap, there's not much room, but we'll see how that progresses. And Mark Zef still hanging around in second place behind Pepper, but setting fairly similar times. Of course, what they don't want to do is pick up too many instant points and then head into the pits on a kind of drive-through.
So what car are you rooting for then next season?
Well, the GR86, I've done it in the officials last week, and actually it was really fun. It was but possibly TCR as well. I found that quite fun as well when that season was running. It's a nice little car to throw around. So one of those two, I think, takes my favourite. Yeah. Here's Mark Zef. Is he going to make a move into the chicane? No, he's taking it, but he does close the gap. And will Pepper be able to handle the pressure? As we see, Koenig looks to have entered the pits, and Lewis McManaman there in the pits as well. So perhaps these are scheduled stops. It looks like Koenig is taking tyres. White in the pits also. He might have retired by the looks of it. So it looks like, yeah, Mark just has this slight edge on Pepper, but kind of is kind of replicated in what Line and Parker's situation is at the moment, that the faster guys needs to find a way around as Pepper kicks up the dust.
Well, you can potentially do a bit of fuel saving and then eke out an extra lap.
Absolutely.
Which I imagine is probably what Parker's doing. Well, no, Parker probably not just one lap, probably 5 extra laps.
Yeah, and that's Lewis McManaman off. He just pitted, so I wonder how he ended up out there. Oh, and here we go. Mark's got his game face on. He's going to try and probe around the inside of Pepper there. Mitchell setting his fastest lap of the race. Of course, nothing to lose for him at the moment. He just needs to keep it on track and hope that something happens to Mark, but of course we don't want to see that happen. Conception still setting fast times at 18.9. It's closing that gap to Walker as well, so let's see what happened to Lewis in his pit stop.
New tyres.
Yeah, new tyres. Hits the grass, spins out. He's probably going to get an unsafe pit exit as well. It does happen.
Do you need new tyres on a 45-minute race? I think the last time I was here, BMW on a 2-hour race, I don't think we took on tyres, which I don't think was a great idea. I think it wasn't great by the end of it.
Yeah, they can usually go for kind of 2 stints or 3 if you're careful, but perhaps if you've overheated the tyres recently, then yeah, you can change them. If you're emptying the tank, and it depends how much fuel you're putting in as well. If you're putting in a large amount of fuel, you still have time to change the tyres and still keep refueling. But for this race, generally no, you can get away with it. As Line sets his fastest lap at an 18.9, Parker also reacting to that and almost equaling that. Mark Zef still looking for a way around. There's going to be lap traffic ahead as well for these guys as well. Not too far up the road.
Yeah, I have a feeling the only reason why I managed to get away with using the same tyres for 2 hours in the endurance and here is because it spent half the race under yellows and under safety car.
Yeah, that certainly helps. So the standings at the moment, the top split is Line, Parker, Walker, Conception and Maxwell, and then in the Club 1500 split we've got Pepper, Zef, Hill, Pruis, Barlow, Koenig, Meesters, Mitchell, McManaman, White and Pepper. So it's still, they are pretty spread out in the Club 1500 split apart from the front two, but a couple of those, such as Barlow, Pruis, McManaman and Koenig, have taken their pit stops now, so let's see how those shake out. Who's going to be the first to blink in terms of pit stops for the leaders here?
Hyde's probably wondering what he has to do to get away from Parker here. He's just set a 19.0.
Yeah, it's,
Parker's done the same.
yeah, it's like having an annoying wasp in a Ferrari flying around you. It's just not going to go away.
He gained a little bit there. He was much more confident on that curb on the right hand side.
Nice onboard shot. Let's see who gets the better line. Very late on the brakes.
Yeah, I mean, but that's normally compromise your exit. You know, that like Line was perhaps compromising the entry to get a better exit, but it's not enough. I think that's gonna give Dom, where if he goes defensive, maybe cover it. But
yeah, I think Dom might be able to carry the speed around the outside. He's gonna try and do a switchback, but
he's just gone out a little bit wide over the curb. So
yeah,
and I think and I think that was Line planning to come in for the pit there, so that kind of blocked his entry into the pit.
Yeah, it wasn't the most ideal of timing. And Zef's got ahead of Pepper here, so he enters the pits before. So there's a bunch of cars there. That was Barlow ahead of them as well. So a hive of activity in the pit lane. Evan now moves up a position. This is Walker now up to second, of course. It was a very late move into the pit by line. I think he just spotted what Parker was doing, and kind of had to sit and wait. And out he comes. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the gap between Parker and Line once Parker has his pit stop, and of course Parker renowned for eking out another couple of laps or so.
I would say if Parker could stay out another lap or two, he should jump Line, but with 4 seconds back to Walker, they'd expect Line to come out ahead of Walker.
Yeah, so this is the battle for first position. The clubbers in the pit lane, and James has just overshot his entrance by a couple of feet or so. Yeah, Mark gets away. I just noticed James was in neutral as well, so hopefully he's thrown it in first gear in anticipation of getting away. But that gap is now extended to 4.5 seconds. So Zef's got a win on the cards for him, and that will give him, of course, the championship, given where Mitchell is at the moment. Ollie Walker in the pits, as well as Evan Conception. So
let's see where Walker is with Line.
Yeah, and here's Line as well. Walker comes out ahead of Line.
I mean, how?
Yeah,
like he was 3.5 seconds ahead of him, wasn't he? So too much fuel, or like a really bad entry? I didn't really see.
Yeah, that's incredible. There's such a large gap to kind of take over.
I mean, if it was like a second or so, I'd think yeah, but 3.5 seconds, something must have gone wrong, or Ollie can't put in any fuel, something, or know some trick that Line doesn't know.
Yeah, that's really strange. So we see Conception and Zef there, just going past one of the South Africans in Team Heap together. Yeah, so it's game on for David Line. He's going to have to do it all again. Parker in the pits
surely
as
Walker's
well.
going to be wise to his to him sending it down the inside though.
Yeah, he's gonna be aware of what Line has up his sleeve. So Parker's coming out. Wasn't a bad lap from Line there. It was a 19.1. Yeah, Parker's out and he's got a massive gap. It's almost 5 seconds.
I mean, obviously, Line had that dodgy entry, so he had to go around Parker, right, to the pits. But I mean, maybe a second there, but yeah, another couple of seconds went away somehow.
Yeah, I can't see. I really can't see where that.
He might be on for a move against Walker here.
Yeah. Wow, the difference in speed. That's incredible. You could see the braking distance. It's
all about the exit there, isn't it? Probably not far or close enough there, but
yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think Ollie Walker is a sitting duck.
No, too far back, I think.
He's thinking about it.
Oh no!
He's thinking. Yeah. He's going, trying to do it again. Ollie Walker's going to contest this one. But
yeah,
Line puts the squeeze
Walker
on.
He didn't give up.
He's going to have a tighter turn. Yeah, Line possibly backed out of that slightly.
Well, I think that they were side by side, and Walker didn't give in this time, did he?
Yeah, but yeah, it's good to see Line actually kind of be a little bit more aggressive.
I guess he can afford to be, because Walker's already won the championship, right? So he doesn't have to worry about messing up Walker's championship now, and throw caution to the wind a bit maybe.
Yeah, and this was Mark Zef just risking it for the chocolate biscuit to try and get around Evan after Evan's mistake, as we just see, he just kind of overshotted it. Yeah, I've seen a couple of drivers do that before, but yeah, it's a little bit oversteer. Yeah, wanted to keep the car in one piece as well. I think it plays it cautiously, and I think that's the right thing to do. Joe Barlow setting his fast lap in 19.5, so that's a fast lap for him. Mitchell setting the fast lap in the clubbers, that's a 19 dead. So he might not take the win today, but he's going to take the fast lap glory.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of difference between the lap times of the top clubbers. I mean, I think look, Parker there 92, 92 for Walker, 94 for Line, but I think it's more about the consistency, isn't it, than the outright speed at this track.
Yeah, definitely. So Line half a second off, and at this part of the track we've seen him make a lot of ground on Ollie Walker. He hasn't got the run here at the moment. You see Ollie taking a kind of tighter line through there. Lewis McManaman going a little bit slow. Looks like Mitchell, according to the standings, is on the back of Rich Meesters, and Joe Barlow isn't too far ahead of those guys as well. Yeah, on board, Ollie Walker looking back to see if Line is going to...
he's too far away.
He's good at closing in the braking distance, yeah. He's very confident on the brakes compared to Ollie. This is Damon Mitchell on the back of Rich Meesters. We haven't seen too much of Rich Meesters, given that he was in that first lap incident. Oh, and Mitchell just going slightly wide. That's compromised his run. Yeah, Line closing in again. Conception setting a fast lap, 18.7. And Maxwell, his teammate, setting an 18.8. There is Maxwell on the back of James Pepper. So Pepper's actually picked up the pace, because that gap has now came down to 3.3 seconds or so. He might be able to use Maxwell as a slingshot. As Damon Mitchell tries to look down the inside of Meesters. Meesters has the optimum line through there.
This could be on this time.
Yeah. Line is very close. Which line is Ollie Walker going to take? He takes the outside. Line. Oh, it was so close. Not sure if there's contact or not, or if Ollie was just kind of off put by line. Line goes wide into the grass. He slid off there. Oh, no way.
Fortunate to catch the barrier there.
Yeah. We'll see if he's got any damage.
Well, that's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess it's the funny corner, isn't it? Again, because there's quite a lot of elevation change.
And he's spun again.
And I think Ollie was sort of covering his view of the apex, I suppose. He's going to get in, but he's going to get an unsafe entry there, isn't he?
He is, yeah. As you said, it is a blind corner over there, so you kind of find out too late that you ran out of track. That's what happened to David Line there. Dan Hill setting the fastest lap in the club, so it's an 18.9 or 18.8 there rather, pretty much. Dan Hill on fire at the moment. That's extended his gap to Jan Pruis, so that's now sitting at 7.5 seconds. Yeah, as Maxwell's got ahead of Pepper, so Pepper really should try and use Maxwell as a slingshot really. This is Lewis. Just caught the curb and upset the car, but perhaps he could have been a little bit more brave on. That's what Dom's line was there. This was the move. Let's see. I'm not sure if they touched or not, but
tiny bit of contact. I think maybe Walker's got a slowdown there.
Yeah, I think because the kind of where Ollie Walker was situated on track, kind of off-put line of where he was going to position the car.
He's too busy looking at what Walker was doing and forgot to turn in for the corner. There he goes.
Yeah. It almost threw him into the pit lane as well. That's just a double whammy. Was there contact?
Oh.
Well.
I mean, possibly, because that could be, a slight bit of lag contact. But
yeah.
I mean, I think that was it was a late lunge, but Line was on the apex with enough room on the right, and Walker was on the right. I think quite rough but fair.
Yeah, firm but fair. I think definitely. Damon Mitchell getting the move done on Rich Meesters. That was a replay. So a good move down into turn 1. And here is Dom now with almost a 7.5 second lead over Ollie Walker. Conception still not out of contention for the second place here. I mean, he's got
big ass. He's got 2 minutes to catch.
Yeah, he's got 2 minutes,
seconds.
But yeah,
I think Walker can do a 19.0, right, or an 18.9 possibly, but he's now just coasting to the end, isn't he?
Yeah, Conception's been pretty unfortunate given he set pole and then had a kind of almost a 14-second gap at the beginning. He's managed to pull it back, but I
mean, he had an off earlier on, didn't he? Otherwise, he perhaps could have been challenging for second hit.
Yeah, definitely. I think Mark knows he's got it wrapped up. This might be the penultimate lap. James Pepper, what could have been? He overshot his pit entrance. It would have been great for him to get a win here, but looks like it's not to be. And Damon Mitchell reclaims the fastest lap of the race. He's took that away from Dan Hill. As Line is still in the race for Pride.
So I think Line is backing off there because he knows he's got 1 lap left.
Yeah.
And he's trying to go fastest lap because that's all he can do, really.
Yeah.
After a minute in the pits.
Yeah. Zef setting his fastest lap at 19.1. Ollie Walker set his fastest lap as well, kind of similar time, but here is Dom Parker. He's no doubt probably on the white flag lap. Yeah, solid performance from Dom. He hasn't really put a foot wrong.
No, his first win, isn't he? He was gypped with that win at, well, I say he got his fuel wrong, didn't he, or something, at Bathurst. And I think he feels he should have won that.
Yeah, so great to see that he's finally rewarded.
I think he needs to go for like a championship bid. I think he doesn't do the races that he's not keen on, right? But I think that he just should, even if you don't like the track, just do it anyway. Yeah,
and he goes past Barney. Dom Parker takes the win at Road Atlanta. Well done, Dom. Congratulations, that was a solid victory. Ollie Walker takes second place, and someone's went down the other side of the track. Is that David Lyne? I think he's taking the alternative route. Oh, no, in fact it's Evan taking the alternative route there. Kind of getting out of the way of Mark Zef, who takes first position and indeed the championship in the Club 1500. Congratulations, Mark, on that. James Pepper takes second. Great race from him. We look forward to seeing what he can produce next season. Dan Hill, the perennial third place in this championship. He might be getting sick of seeing third, but we'll see how he does next season. There, Maxwell takes fourth position in top split, and there is indeed Dom Parker, our top split winner, smashing around some cones. Janeman Prue is taking fourth position. Congratulations, Janeman. And Stephen Koenig taking a respectable fifth ahead of Joe Barlow, Mitchell and Meisters. So that is how the race ends here at Road Atlanta, and indeed the season. We bid a fond farewell to the GT3s, it looks like, for what we will approach next season.
It's looking like GT4s or Porsches, isn't it? And I guess if it's Porsches, the only thing the problem with that is that people are going to take the mickey out of me for saying Porsche and not Porsche, but it is Porsche, it's not Porsche.
Yeah,
Porsche are one of my clients, and they kill anybody for calling them Porsche. Oh, look, his lines bid for fast slap.
Oh, going out in style. Yeah. If it was going to be any corner that threw him off, it was going to be that one.
Yeah. If you go for fast slap, you've got to keep your foot in there.
Yeah. So, here are the positions after our final race at Road Atlanta. Dom Parker takes the win in top split ahead of Ollie Walker, Evan Conception, and Stephen Maxwell and David Lyne. In the Club 1500, Mark Zef takes the win and indeed the championship. James Pepper takes second, and Dan Hill takes the final podium position. Congratulations to them. Just ahead of our two South Africans, Janeman Prue and Stephen Koenig, Joe Barlow, Damon Mitchell, Rich Meisters, Lewis McManaman, Chris White and Steve Pepper. Of course, a couple of those were involved in earlier incidents, but made their way up, so well done to those guys finishing. So the final championship standings in the top split, Ollie Walker takes the win with 280 points ahead of Evan Conception on 247, ahead of David Lyne on 209. Maxwell, Parker, Ettridge, Miller, Innes, Greening and Dan Shaw round out the top 10, and of course we've got the likes of Harding, Gerber, Lee, Messenger and Barrow, who didn't quite make so many races this season, but we look forward to their presence next season. Congratulations, Ollie, once again. Solid performances throughout the season, and a worthy champion, but he's definitely got a target on his back for next season.
I mean, if it's GT4s, I'd expect it to be still there, right? Like, for sure, and probably anything else. Yeah.
And the Club 1500, Mark Zef takes the win on 287 points and a title ahead of Damon Mitchell, who did take him down to the wire, and he finished on 266 points. Let's see how those guys put their bids in next season. And indeed, Dan Hill, I expect him to be challenging as well, because he's been very consistent. We've got a bunch of people like Chris White and South Africans. I'd like to see some more. They've definitely got pace on them as well, and likes of Meisters. But congratulations to Mark Zef on being our season 6 Club 1500 champion rather. Definitely a great battle throughout the season with him and Damon. The Teams Championship, the 4X Racing, it was pretty much a no contest, so they've won the Teams Championship, so congratulations to Evan and indeed Stephen on that. We look forward to seeing them team up together next season, I hope. And it looks like Ollie just pips David Lyne by 1 point in the championship standings there, so Alpha Esports takes the second position ahead of the A team. Be interesting to see if the Wizards come back next season, if they're going to have one or indeed two teams. So congratulations to 4X Racing and being the top split teams champions. Club 1500 teams championship. It was a DSR Duke out, and DSR Orange came out on top with 357 ahead of DSR White on 338. But we'll see how those teams fare next season. Of course, battle of the Pepper household as well. Of course, James Pepper was part of the white team and Steve was part of the orange team. Of course, I'll keep an eye out for that next season. What did you make of the race there, Dave? Was it as exciting as you hoped for?
Well, I mean, it was pretty good between Lyne, Walker, and there was a few battles there. That were good. But I'm hoping next season there'll be more top split drivers in there, mixing it up a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think you've got what it takes to join us, just hit us on a link to our Discord and sign up. We are open to all abilities and within a certain reason. We've got, I think it's about a 4K iRating limit at present, but if you think you've got what it takes, and come and join a friendly community who really have nice races together, definitely join up. We look forward to having you on board. That wraps up everything here indeed for this season at Road Atlanta and indeed our GT3 series. We may be back in the GT3 someday in the future, but for now we're going to move on to a different car. So it's goodbye from Less Random Chris, and do you want to say goodbye, Random Dave?
Goodbye. See you for now. In a couple of months.
Yeah, goodbye for now.
Cheers.